Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Segal and Chris Lewis.
Welcome to a breaking news episode of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm Amanda Segal, and I am joined by Mr. Pelo Buddy himself, Chris Lewis. Hey, Chris, good morning.
Hey, Amanda, how are you?
I am good. Well, I guess there is a ton of buzz this morning about what Peloton have thrown at us. And we figured that who better than Mr. Pelo Buddy himself to kind of break it down and give us just a nice overview of what this all means. Because, of course, everybody's asking, what does this all mean? So tell me kind of where we're at and how you heard about this and what happened?
Well, Peloton is calling this the biggest reinvention in the history of the company. And there was a lot of news that got announced today. It includes updated hardware. Again, some people are saying new hardware. Some people are saying updated hardware. It's the frame of the devices look mostly the same, but there's a lot of new updates that go into the screen. Whether or not you have that new hardware, there's changes to the monthly price. That's finally going into effect, whether or not you have the new hardware. There's some new accessories. Peloton's been talking about AI for the last year or so. They're kind of fully launching their AI efforts now with what they're calling Peloton IQ. And some of that's going to be on existing devices, and some of that's only going to be on new devices. They've got new integrations rolling out. They are bringing the guide software and user interface to these devices if you buy the premium new devices. They're getting new features like self-paced strength classes. They're doing a lot new wellness content and have acquired a breathing and meditation app and just a lot more. So that's kind of the high level. There was a lot of news today, but it covers a lot of different areas.
All right. Well, why don't we kind of look at kind of just breaking it down, maybe starting on what this cross-training content really means and what their plan for pushing it forward is.
Yeah, let me take one step back and let's start with the membership, because that's going to impact everyone, whether or not you buy the hardware. So effective your next renewal rate, that is going up, and that is a global, it's not just the US this time, this impacts everyone. So in the US, it has been $44 a month. It is now going to $49.99. So that's a $6 increase. It's not just the subscription for hardware owner that's going up, though. They're also increasing the app membership as well. So the basic App One membership's going from $12.99 to $15.99, $3 a month increase, while the premium App Plus subscription is going from $24 to $28.99, which is about a $5 month increase. And again, this is going out globally, so there's going to be similar prices in each of the markets. We've got kind of a breakdown on each of those per country in our article. But again, those are going to affect the next renewal rate, whether or not you buy the new hardware or not. So that's going to impact all 6 million, members out there.
Yeah. And for those moaning about it, I mean, there has not really been an increase since 2022.
April 2022 was the last increase, and it went from 39 to 44 at that point. And that at that time, it was either the first ever or the first in like 10 years of the change to that increase.
Yeah.
So, we've now gone over that in the 5-year period, I guess. Started at 39 and you're now at $49.99 or $50 a month. So,
and let me tell you, for somebody who had, I mean, I know you do too, but for somebody who has a different platform, that's pretty in line, if not below, than what we've paid on other, interactive hardware.
And they are keeping the same policy at this point, where it does work on multiple devices still. So it can work on one bike, one tread, and one row. Now, if you're thinking, does it work on an original series bike and a cross-training bike, which is the new one that came out? Nope, those are still considered bikes. So you can't have a bike and a cross-training bike on the same. Right. Those are all considered the same bike family.
Yeah. No, but what I was actually kind of more implying was that you figured,
compared to things like tonal that are more than that for the one device.
I didn't know if I wanted to shout tonal out, so I was kind of being under the, but that's what I mean. I mean, look, I think, what's that, like $79 a month, I think?
670 or something. Yeah.
So kind of makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But then Yeah, so I alluded to the new devices. Peloton is updating their entire line of hardware to what they're now calling the cross training series. The headline of this feature is that all 5 devices are now getting a swivel screen. Before, that was only on the Peloton Bike Plus. It could do that 360-degree rotation. Now all of the devices can do that, including the not original, but the lower end bike. That's coming to the treads as well. They both can do that. The one caveat to this is that the row cannot do a full 360 degrees rotation. That can only do 45 degrees. And that's because of just the way the neck kind of connects to the device that prevents that rotation from happening. Peloton is no longer going to be offering that original series of devices on their website. You now have the choice of nothing or cross training. So this is kind of just their moving forward. This is what they're offering. There are updated pricings with this. The price increases ranges from about $200 increase on the row and the bike plus to $700 increase on the tread plus. So, $16.95 for bike, $26.95 bike plus, $32.95 tread, $6.95 for tread plus, and $34.95 for the row plus. And that's one caveat. Go ahead.
Wasn't that what the tread plus came out at originally, and then
It's changed so many times. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah. But I do remember that it was almost 7,000 when they first launched that Tread Plus, and then they kind of brought it back down. So it makes sense. Okay.
And one note about that is that there's a plus series and a non-plus series. They're changing the category of the row. So the row is now considered the row plus. So the row is getting the premium screen and kind of some of those updated features. Now, if you're an existing member and you're interested, some good and bad news. The bad news is it sounds like there's not going to be a trade-in program. So back in the day, they used to have a trade-in program when the Bike Plus first came out. You could trade in your original bike, get a deeper discount on the Bike Plus. At this point, it doesn't sound like they're bringing it back. Stuff might change in the future depending on sales or whatever. But at this point, don't plan on a trade-in program. But they are offering discounts for existing members. You should be receiving an email probably today. I mean, it takes some time to send out 6 million emails, but it'll bring the price more in line to what the prices were before today. So what you could have bought a Bike Plus for before today, it's going to be closer to that. So it's a $250 discount on bike, $200 discount on Bike Plus, $300 discount on tread, $700 on tread plus, and $200 on row. Now with that discount, your tread plus price is still $59.55, so $6,000. So it's not a deep discount, but it is something. So that should be going out to members if you are interested in these. Hardware wise, as I mentioned, the swivel screen is a big update. We've been talking about how the Peloton studios upgraded to 4K cameras. So we've been thinking, hey, are these screens going to be 4K? They are not. They're the same full, I think they call it full HD, but the same resolution that the current generation is. The new screens keep that same resolution. So no 4K screens, which is kind of a surprise after the upgrade to 4K cameras, but maybe that just would have increased the price too much on each of those.
Got it.
The Plus series comes with some accessories. So the Row Plus, Tread Plus, and Bike Plus, there is now an integrated fan built into all of these. So it kind of sits on top of the speakers, and it's bolts on or clips on, but it's adjustable. It's got 3 speed levels, and you can adjust kind of the angle of it. You can also, there's a button to do that, and then there's also menu items so you can do it through software. It's pretty powerful. Like depending on how heavy a sweater you are, you might be able to get away with just this fan. I know other people like myself have more industrial speed fans set up next to them, and if you're one of those people, it might not be enough. But if you were someone who just clipped on the little USB
that you kind of picked up off Amazon.
Yeah. Exactly. This is designed to replace that, not necessarily if you need an industrial sized fan.
Which is kind of nice because then you don't have this cumbersome thing kind of sitting on your tray that could fall off. Now you have something that's integrated into the hardware, which makes more sense.
Yeah. And then along with that, there are a couple other accessories rolling out by default. So on the Bike Plus, you're also going to get a phone tray. So just underneath the handlebars, there's going to be a built-in phone tray where you can, set your phone while you're riding. And then in addition, both the Bike and the Bike Plus are getting a new saddle. So it's designed to be a little more comfortable. And yeah, those are the kind of the three big complaints that Peloton had heard about on their existing products was the lack of a fan, lack of phone tray, and seats. So they kind of tried to do that. In addition to the new saddle that's coming on the cross training devices, they're also going to sell I believe they're calling it the Peloton Comfort Saddle. And this one is actually available both for the original generation and the cross training. So you can buy it and use it on any bike you have. But this one is designed to have even more padding and more width than the new saddle. So if you just want a new saddle or need more padding or width, that option is available to you from Peloton, and it will be, across any generation of bike
And
that
you'd best be
works.
able to pick that up off the accessories page of the website.
Yep. I'm not sure the pricing offhand, but, we'll be able to share more details of that.
Did I see something also about speakers, Bose integrated speakers?
Yep. So the Plus series is they're getting a subwoofer for the first time built in, and then they say the speakers are expert tuned by Sonos, but they say they should make it a more studio experience. In addition, the original bike, sorry, I say original bike when I mean the lower end bike, but the cross training bike, that's getting speakers on the front now. So that's what the Bike Plus had. That's what the Tread had, was kind of that speaker bar on top. Well, the original bike, the speakers were still on the back. So they're bringing the speakers to the front to make that more in line with all the other devices. The Bike and the Tread, it's going to be a 21.5 inch screen. And then the Bike Plus, Tread Plus, and Row Plus are going to get 23.8 inch screens.
Now, the original Tread Plus had that 32-inch screen, correct?
Correct. So that's going away. And now the Tread Plus screen is going to be the same size as the Row Plus and the Bike Plus. So it's getting consistency with those other devices.
Makes sense. So they're kind of sticking to one product, these two different products across the board. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And in addition to the screens, like there's new CPUs in there's new Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chips, there's more storage, there's more processor, there's even a new neural chip in there to help with some of the AI features. So they've, kind of upgraded the internal components, both to support what they have there now and to give them room to grow with new features and new software down the line.
All right. So I'm going to throw this question out to you and it just kind of popped in my mind. Would one be able to switch out their current screen with the old platform?
That is a great
hardware?
question, and the first thing I asked when this information came up, and unfortunately, that is not possible.
Okay.
It sounds like while most of the logic is in the screens, there are some internal wiring that would have to change. So they're not offering a retrofit. You cannot just buy the cross training screen and plop it on your Bike Plus and have it work. They're not supporting that. Now, could third parties figure that out in the future and tell people how to do that? Sure, who knows? But at this point, it sounds like that's not something Peloton is going to support. So if you want the new devices, you're going to have to buy an entirely new one.
Wow. Okay.
Which, in the past, when they've had a new generation of screens, that has been an option, but for whatever reason with this cross training, and there aren't, like I said, that the frames are consistent and the same. There might, this information just came out, so there might be some small tweaks out there. I do know that on the cross training bike, the original bike had those levers for adjusting the seat height and the handlebar height, while the Bike Plus had those more knobs that were easier to use and a little stronger. The cross-training bike is getting those same knobs.
Makes sense.
So, that is coming to be consistent on the bike as well, which, it's a nice upgrade for people who have to upgrade to change that. It's nice to have the knobs, and it was a little bit easier to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. All right, good. Okay.
But yeah, so talking about the software, another big thing that they announced was Peloton IQ, which is kind of their AI and computer vision platform. There's two main components to this. There's There's the piece that kind of analyzes performance, give class recommendations, and is building on the personalized plan feature. That is actually going to roll out to everyone who has a device. So not just the new cross-training devices. Your original series, Bike, Bike Plus, Tread, Tread Plus, and Row should be getting that as well. And that's going to come in the form of updates to your home screen, and just recommendations and things within the tablet. The other part is things powered by the new camera. That's one thing I forgot to mention, but the Plus series has a brand new camera, and it looks like the Peloton guide built into the screen. It
Okay.
matches what we shared. It was almost a year ago, one of the R&D devices. That's what that is, and the patents that were released this summer. But it's a much bigger camera that can rotate up and down slightly, and you can completely close it for privacy. But that is only on the Plus series of the new cross-training devices. So that enables some new features. That enables the guide software to be on the hardware when you're taking strength classes, and enables some other things. So that piece is only going to be on the new cross-training Plus series of devices.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But as I was mentioning, the Peloton IQ, the stuff that's rolling out to everyone, they're going to be able to give you performance estimates. So now when you click on a class in the on-demand library, you're going to see a new section at the top. It's going to tell you an estimate for how much wattage you'll do during that ride. It's going to give you an estimate for your distance during that ride. And it's going to tell you, based on the class plan and your past efforts, what's your effort level going to be, or difficulty level. So is it going to be a similar amount of work as you normally do? Is it going to be harder or easier? So this means you're not going to have to look for Robin wearing yellow, or some of the
Right.
other visual cues. This will be
Right.
another way for you to get an idea of the difficulty of the class level. They're going to start sharing weekly performance summaries. And this is going to be a section when you view your profile, and it's going to give you just some weekly insights. It might tell you that your distance is increasing, showing your pace and endurance are improving. And then they're going to try to give you 3 different types of insights each week. There's going to be a modality insight about a certain class. There's going to be a plan insight for kind of how you're doing overall with whatever your plan may be. And then just an education insight giving you some tips and trying to, make you train smarter.
All right, so let me kind of just break it down, because I know that this is what people are going to, and there's a lot of information. So to kind of make it a little bit more logistical for folks. So now, will what you've just mentioned be available to everybody, or is this only to the new cross training devices?
No, that since that is kind of in the tablet and the analyzation world, that should be available to everyone, no matter what generation device you have.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll break, and again, kind of once we get to the end, we'll kind of break down what's good about keeping with your old stuff and why you really just need the new stuff. Because that's, I guess, what everyone's question is going to be.
Yeah, and then keeping along the lines of what everyone's going to get, even if you're not doing a personalized plan, but you just picked a training goal, they're going to be able to give you class recommendations and personalized recommendations based on that, and you'll see that on the home screen of your device. The UI is changing slightly, and there's going to be a big bar at the top, which will kind of be some of these insights and analyzations.
And they kind of alluded to that over the last few months. Remember we got that, they kind of started showing that to us, and we could put in what we wanted to achieve out of our weekly. So this is now going to be integrated into the program. Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff is all, like, they've been working on personalized plans. It rolled out in 2023 on the guide, and then earlier this year, like in January, I think it officially rolled out on the app. So this is kind of taking what they've been doing with personalized plans and starting to take it to the next level and rolling it out consistently across the hardware devices under that new Peloton IQ banner, which is,
makes sense.
their AI feature set in computer vision.
All right.
Yeah. So then turning to the things that are only going to be available on the Cross Training Plus series. So again, that's the new Cross Training Bike Plus, Tread Plus, and Row. And again, this is enabled by the new camera that's on there. You cannot miss it. That's actually one way you can tell the difference between the generations now. The Tread and the Bike, they actually don't have a camera anymore. It's just the speaker bar all the way across. And then the Plus series has this giant guide-looking like camera that you can't miss. But the headline of this feature is that if you're taking a strength class, you get the guide interface. You can see yourself on the screen. You can do the 5 different layouts to move it around. It'll give you form feedback. It'll give you rep counting. You can see, well, feature that everyone loves is that in the upper left-hand corner of the guide, you can see the class plan and what's coming up next. You still get that. So I'm sure there's some small tweaks and things to come, but just from a quick look at it, think guide interface now on the Bike Plus, Tread Plus, and Row Plus. Again, it's not going to be back to the original series Bike Plus, Row Plus, Tread Plus, only on the new cross-training versions of these.
Got it.
But yeah, so one other thing that the Plus series has now, you can actually do voice control like you could with a guide. So there's a microphone built into those, and you can now use the OK Peloton commands to interact with your screen. This is in classes, you can tell it to change your weights, but you can actually just use it to browse the on-demand library, pause a class, and do all those features as well, even if it's not a strength workout. At launch, Peloton has, I think, 50,000 classes on demand, and who knows how many of those are strength. Not every strength class is going to be enabled for this, but it's just those movement tracker ones, which at launch time, there's 2,000 of those available. And there's 50 of the programs in the library that are going to work with those as well. And over time, expect that number to continue to grow.
Right.
But then there's 2 brand new features that they're launching as part of this. One is a strength workout generator. So you find this by going to the experiences tab of your tablet, and then there's a new custom workout pile there. Then this is where you would get to scenic or just ride and lane break. But there it allows you to give it a couple preferences, and it's going to create a custom strength workout for you. Now, if you've used the Peloton Strength Plus app, it feels like they've taken that experience and put it in a tablet. However, they are completely separate at this point. Even though the look and feel is different, there's really no integration between the two. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, cool. Maybe you can use the Strength Plus app and create, your programming and have it show up here. At this point, not possible. Down the road, who knows? But again, you can tell it how long you have to work out, what muscle groups you want to work, what workout type you want to do, what difficulty level, and what equipment. You hit go, and it creates a custom list of workouts for you to do that you can jump right into. If you don't like one it gives you, you can replace it and swap it for another workout. So if you've used Strength Plus, that's going to feel very similar, but that experience is now on the Plus series of the cross-training devices. One other really interesting feature is that you can now take strength classes self-paced. So the way to think of this is, again, this is only on those 2,000 movement tracker classes that's required for this to work. But let's say you have a favorite class you take over and over. It works for you. You really love it. But on this day, you've taken it 50 times. You just can't hear that same joke again, right? We've all been there. If you've taken a class over and over,
Rebecca Kennedy's strength program is one that I do.
Was what I was trying to think.
Yep, the split programs, exactly.
Yep. So what you do, you open the strength class, and now at the top, there is a toggle. By default, it's going to say instructor led, and that's the normal experience you're used to. It's their music, they're talking everything. There's a new toggle to say self-paced. When you pick that, what it's going to do is it's going to take the workout plan. It's going to let you follow that. But instead of showing the instructor, it's just going to show you demos of the movement. Instead of the music, they've brought Peloton Radio, which was what they had on the scenic classes, where it gives you, 8 different genres of music, and it will generate a playlist for you at random.
Oh, nice.
It's going to replace the music with Peloton Radio, and then it's not going to have the instructor talking. So you're still following their structure and guidance, but you have different music, and you're going at your own pace. And the own pace is the big thing as well. If it was a 10-minute class and you can get through it quicker, great. If you need a little more time, great. By default, you're going to have to say, okay, I'm done with this, go to the next movement. But there's something called auto advance that they've added to this. And so if you're doing the workout and it says you need 8 reps of this, it's going to see that you did 8 reps because it has the rep counting feature. And it can automatically just jump to the next one when you're done, no matter how long has it advanced. So that's optional as well for you to turn on or off in these.
I really like the radio feature though, because that was one of my complaints with the Strength Plus app, is that you kind of had to put your own music on.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that you can do that. Am I right?
Yeah. And now that they've they've added this here to strength classes. They're doing bike, you've got power zone classes. On the tread, you've got pace target classes. Um, it seems like a natural extension down the road for them to allow you to do the same thing in those classes, right?
Okay.
Because the plan that you're going to follow. Um, and maybe you just don't want to listen to the music, but you want that structure. So same thing. Pick up this power zone class, pop into the self-guided and pick a random radio station and ride. Again, that's not here today. I'm just thinking of how
Right.
that
So
might be
my,
a
yeah.
natural extension, but it seems like a natural flow that they could go down the road for that.
And I'm sure they'll wait to get back, member feedback and see how people are enjoying that and see, is it worth kind of integrating it into these different programs, these different
Yeah,
classes
and
that they
that's
have
one
out
thing
there?
they did reiterate is that, this is kind of the start of Peloton IQ and the start of some of these features. They have to start somewhere. We've definitely seen over the past couple of years that Peloton's new features seems to have been the speed of those have been increasing. So yeah, I would expect to see more features and improvements to this stuff over time.
All
But
right.
then one other thing that's rolling out to everyone, as I mentioned, with the personalized plans, they kind of take your workout history and analyze it to give you recommendations and build that plan. Well, until now, they only were able to analyze your Peloton workouts. They're now rolling out integrations with third parties to pull in those from other ecosystems. So at launch, there's going to be 3 integrations. There's going to be Apple Health, Google Fitbit, and Garmin Connect. We had a sneak peek of Garmin Connect a week or so ago. And then again, like if you've done a workout on Garmin Connect, Peloton will pull it in and show it as an app workout. So it can use that to kind of use your fatigue, your distance, and use that as a gauge. Like I said, in addition to Garmin Connect, they're also going to be able to do that with Apple Health workouts and Google Fitbit workouts. And this, again, should be available to everyone. This doesn't require the Plus series of cross training. This is one of those available to everyone features as part of the IQ class recommendations.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So that's the hardware piece.
Okay.
That we've gone through 2 of the new things they've announced. There have been some new partnerships they rolled out as well. An overarching theme of this is that, and over the last year, is that Peloton is wanting to get more into general health and wellness.
Yes.
They've been the leader on cardio, but research says in addition to it's between 150 and 300 minutes, I think, of cardio a week, you need to be doing 2 strength workouts. So they're trying to get people to pair their cardio with strength and other recovery and, various health and wellness. So with that, they've announced a couple new partnerships. One of those is going to be with the Hospital for Special Surgery, HSS. And this is going to be designed to help with recovery and rehab. So they're going to work with the experts at the hospital and create 5 new collections. And those are going to be for runner's knees, new moms, office workers, tennis elbow, and bone health. And that is going to launch on October 20th. So later this month, they'll be rolling that out. In addition, they've teamed up with a company called Respin, which is a company founded by Halle Berry, which is focused on menopause symptom care programs. They're having a new 8-week program, which is going to be curating Peloton classes that specifically target symptom relief and overall quality of life improvements for perimenopause through postmenopause. That program is launching next week on October 6th, and it's going to include classes by Christine, Susie, Jocelyn, and Charlotte.
Amazing. I mean, hello for this 50-something woman that, no, and I've said this so many times on the show. I've said that, it's sometimes so hard to integrate that strength into it because you kind of get that, that adrenaline and whatever else from your cardio. And it's something that I've really looked for and needed that motivation. And I think just a new infusion of excitement and wanting to do this and kind of being part of the, part of the trend will give me that ability to do that. So I think this is brilliant that they're incorporating this into the program for sure.
Yeah. And then one of the other partnerships that they're expanding is Hyrox. Earlier this year, we shared that
Yes.
they were becoming an official training partner, and they launched that collection of, use these to train. But they're also now finally launching official Hyrox branded classes. The first of those released earlier this week. It was a Hyrox training tread boot camp with Robin Arzon. They're going to release 3 more throughout October. Those are going to be with, I believe it was Marcel Marr, Andy Spear, and there's one other person I'm blanking on. There's a 4th trainer who is included as part of that. But yeah, so that's rolling out, and more of those will be available in October. As in the general wellness area, Peloton announced that they've actually acquired the Breathwork app, which is a wellness app that specializes in breathing exercises. So millions of people have used that app to kind of get into breathing practicing and that area of wellness. And now Peloton members have access to that as well. So starting today, you should be able to download the Breathwork app and log in with if you're an All Access or App Plus member, and get
Mm-hmm.
access to that for free. Now, down the road, they've teased deeper integrations between the two apps, but starting today, it's just if you're a Peloton member, you can get free access to that app. So that was
Yeah.
announced today as well.
And again, kind of bringing in that mind body health kind of aspect of the program as well, incorporating that in. They've done so much on that. So that sounds like it makes a good integration.
Yeah, and then two smaller other things that round out kind of the announcements for today. Peloton is launching what they're calling official Peloton teams. Now, this is not official Peloton Facebook page. This is official Peloton teams. So this is the feature in the app, the Peloton Teams feature. They've been rolling it out for a year or so. You can join a team and do discussions, share class recommendations, and that sort of thing. They're now launching official Peloton teams, which are created by the company. They've got, kind of a verified check mark, but they're going to be led by instructors. So there's going to be just a couple different focus areas. There's going to be one called Move for Life. There's going to be one for cross training. There's going to be one for high rocks training. There's going to be one for menopause health, with more to come. So when you go into the Peloton teams, you should be able to find those and kind of join the officially branded Peloton ones and interact with, other members around those areas.
Fantastic. Wow, Chris. I mean, you really have kind of wrapped it all in a beautiful bow. Anything else that we've missed out? Yes.
One last
Yeah.
thing. We teased, we shared a couple, maybe a month or two ago, that Peloton was going to be bringing gamification and loyalty to the Peloton app. And that is launching today as well. They're calling it Club Peloton. And this is to celebrate consistency and variety in workouts. And you are going to get points for engagement activities. And through these points, you're going to be able to get potential rewards and also unlock early access to content. So
Nice.
this will be rolled out on both the app and the hardware. You're going to basically have a level. You start at bronze and you're going to try to work your way all the way up to legend. And again, it's just consistency. You'll earn points for various things on the platform, and they'll entice you with rewards. So we'll share more details about that in the future, but that is officially launching today as well as part of all this other news.
And incorporating all modalities. So if you're kind of into your yoga and your strength, you can kind of, everyone would have access to that, and whatever modality you pick.
But yeah, so I believe that wraps up most of what Peloton announced today. There was definitely a lot, and it touched a lot of things. It was kind of a news blitz all at once this morning, but the good, some news. If you don't have these new devices, you're going to see the price increase, and you might think, why am I getting a price increase? I can't use some of these features. But if you've been looking at a Peloton device, there's some nice upgrades on the new hardware, depending on what you like. The Peloton Guide, people who have it seem to love it. The problem was just that not many people seem to have it. So that's why it was discontinued. But now being on these devices, if you already have the area to work out there next to your device, being able to rotate the screen and have that user interface will make that easier for a lot of people.
100%. And one of my biggest complaints about that was I had the guide and never put it up because I couldn't find anywhere in my gym to kind of set it. My TV was too high. This way, being part of the hardware will make it so much easier to use.
And that's one thing, as you were saying that, I want to explicitly clarify, there is no external doohickey that you have to plug in to make this work on the cross-training series of devices. It is built into the tablet. So it does have that slightly bigger camera, but again, that's built into the sound bar. But there's no extra thing you have to plug in to make it work. It's just you rotate the screen, and the same as you would have just taken a cycling class or a tread class, you just go into strength. The user interface will change to be the guide user interface, and it will start counting your reps and using computer vision to do all those features that it needs to do with the camera.
Amazing. All right. Well, I mean, anything else that we've missed out?
I believe that's all the high level. We have a probably too in-depth article over on our website. We kind of flew through this as quickly as we could, but it still took a hot minute to go through this. But we do have all these details we just covered over on the website. There's a very in-depth article covering it. And in the coming days, we'll kind of break down each of those in a little more detail. So if there's one area you kind of want to focus and learn more on, we'll have a dedicated article to each of those to kind of walk you through what's new and some of the changes and what to look for with those.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't mention at the beginning, the new hardware devices, they were announced today, but they're actually for sale now too. So the Peloton website has them. And then depending on what the device is and what market, you'll also be able to get those on Amazon and Dick's Sporting Good. It's not
And
like
that was my next question. My next question was, does everybody have access to this? No. It's like the German folks.
It's the same devices you had before. So if your country didn't have Row before, it still doesn't have Row today. If you didn't have Tread Plus before, you don't have Tread Plus today. So again, the Bike and Bike Plus should be available in every market. The smaller Tread is available in most markets, but the Tread Plus and the Row or Row Plus now is still only in US and Canada at this time. The shipping time, it looks like it's about 2 to 4 weeks. So these should start going out sooner rather than later. This isn't a wait 6 months. But again, they kind of have to do that because you can't buy the original series devices anymore. Like the one way to still get that is that in the US through the rental and refurbished programs, you can get the original series Bike and Bike Plus while supplies last, I'm sure. But just buying new, your choice is cross-training or nothing at this point. Now, there is the Peloton Repowered Marketplace where I'm sure a lot of these are going to be going up for sale, so you'll be able to get used ones there. If Amazon and some of these other places still have inventory, I'm sure you'll be able to get them there as well while supplies last.
Yeah. Wow, Chris, this is amazing. I mean, I think this just gives everybody because it is a lot of information. It's information overload. And also I think that, Peloton have kind of teased this, but they haven't gone obviously into the in-depth explanation that you've just given us. So huge shout out to you. I really appreciate us being able to throw this out to everybody and give them kind of a 30-minute quick look at what this all entails, because everybody's asking these questions. And I got to say, I will say a huge shout out to Peter Stern, because I guess he hit the ground running, and whether this was kind of on the tails of what we had previously, probably, but it's nice that it's all being executed, and we'll kind of have this before the end of the year. Yeah.
Before Peter is Barry McCarthy, and he was brought in with the job of right size the ship. Peloton was losing money. They were very unprofitable. So Barry's job was cut, which he did. There were layoffs, there was restructuring, there was outsourcing manufacturing. So it was 2 years of Barry kind of trying to cut costs and make it so that Peloton wasn't losing the money. And then, Peter was kind of brought in to, great, we've kind of gotten our footing back. There's still some work to do towards that. But then how do we go towards growth again? And I think this is the first step and the setting the groundwork for Peloton trying to have that growth. So this is kind of the first steps of, this is the new Peloton. This is what we're looking to do in the future. And this is where we go from here.
Amazing. All right. Well, I guess that, folks, kind of gives you a really good overview. We will bring you our normal show this week with the news of what's going on in Peloton besides this, and we'll kind of just refresh you a little bit on this. But we really want to do, because it was so much information we wanted to get out to you, we wanted to do this separately so that the Pelo Buddy Weekly show will just be what's happening in the Peloton world.
And believe it or not, there was other news that was happening. So there is other news to cover. And I will say that, again, I teased it earlier, but, over the next couple of days on the website, we will be doing deeper dives into some of these. So if there's areas you're more interested in, just keep an eye on the website. We've got a newsletter that'll email you, when there's new articles on social, just taking a deeper look. And if any of those, depending on how much new information pops up, we might cover those, a little deeper insights or what popped up new since then on this week's show. But, we figured if you're interested, you could catch this segment and then get back to the normal news this weekend.
Sounds great. All right, folks. Well, as always, thank you for taking the time to tune in and listen and get to understand what this new Peloton reinvention is all about, and we are excited to bring it to you first. So, Chris, as always, thank you so much for all the work and effort that you do. As I always say, I'm just the face, but you are definitely the brains, and I know that took a lot of time and effort and it took a lot of time and effort for you to put that all together. So I know that for those of you that rely on Pelo Buddy for your information, this was fantastic. So thank you so much for getting that together for us.
I was happy to get it all together. It's a lot of news, but it's finally the start of something new for Peloton.
Sounds good. All right, we'll let you guys go, and we will see you on Sunday. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag. And don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available. Just search for Pelo Buddy wherever you get your podcasts from. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.